Hello and welcome to another Sunday with Sarah. I'm Sarah Baldwin, owner of Bella Luna Toys, blogger at Moonchild, and welcome back, or welcome if you're joining us for the first time. When I launched this video series a few months ago, losing track now, I asked for your feedback on questions, topics you'd like me to address in future videos. And I've gotten sidetracked along the way with different crafts and different things I wanted to share with you. But I wanted to get back to some of your questions. And I don't have time today to answer all of them, but we'll get to a few of them and more of them in coming weeks. So let's see what we have here. Mama Songbird wrote, "Would you address helping young children into creative play so that a mother can then step aside a bit and address work around the house that she needs to get done? This is a challenge for me with a 3.5-year-old and a 1-year-old because my 3.5-year-old always wants me to play with him. The moment I step away from his play, he gets whiny or starts tormenting his little brother. It would be great to have some creative ideas to put to use." This has been a common question, and I'm sure many of you can relate, and you are far from alone, Mama Songbird. So it's a challenge, but some ideas are to involve your child in the work that needs to be done. If you're cleaning house, give your child-sized tools, small broom, dustpan and brush, a mop. If you're folding laundry, give him some laundry to fold with you, even though he might not do the job you would. Involve him in real work. I think sometimes we forget how capable young children are, preschoolers are, of doing real work, and they love to imitate the work of their parents and the adults around them. So I realize that may not always work. It's one tactic to try. Another suggestion is to have some special toys tucked away somewhere that only come out at certain times, something that's not always out in your child's room and available, but that's hidden away on a closet shelf and may come out at times when you just need, that extra half hour, an hour to get something done. So a special basket of toys or books that will capture your child's attention, something that they haven't seen, and that's another idea. Yet another idea is to get some really engaging work. In my kindergarten classroom, I had a basket of branch blocks that we had cut ourselves with a saw. You can do this yourself. We do sell natural tree blocks at Bella Luna Toys, but you can make your own. And you have a basket there with sandpaper in it. Especially girls and boys love to do this, but a lot of boys really need a really active job, and that's a great one, just sanding blocks smooth, pulling the bark off and sanding them smooth. I also, in my classroom, had a grain grinder, and I will be introducing a new grain grinder at Bella Luna Toys, but that was a wonderful thing to have in my classroom, filled with rye or wheat berries, and when a child needed a job to do, using this hand mill, grinding and grinding. So those are just a few ideas. It's always a challenge. It really requires some creativity, but I hope some of those suggestions help. Let's see, what else? How do I convince family the importance of natural toys? It seems no matter the reasons I give, ultimately the price dictates a cheaper plastic toy. My daughter is a year old on Wednesday, and she's been given a plethora of plastic. This could be a topic for a whole other video. It's always a challenge, isn't it, with gifts, and we don't want to be ungrateful. I've always felt like you can't really dictate a gift someone wants to give you. Be gracious, thank the giver for it, and then I put them away or give them to Goodwill. Or you could let the child play with it for a little while. Most kids are not wanting for a lack of playthings. And when my boys were younger, an unwanted toy would come into the house. They might play with it for a little bit, and then it would just disappear. And most of the time, they would not even mention it again. Sometimes they would, they might bring it up and say, "Oh, where's the whatever action figure?" And I'll just say, I wonder. And usually, it never came up again. Another idea is when a new toy comes into the house, let's find one to give away that we can give to Goodwill. Too many toys are overstimulating, and the fewer the better, few choice quality toys. But then in terms of letting our friends and loved one knows the kinds of things we would appreciate, it's delicate. You know your family. Some parents would be grateful for the guidance, others might be offended, but letting our family know, well, these are some catalogs or websites, the kinds of toys we would welcome, and we might rather have one well-made wooden toy that will last for years than, several plastic toys coming in over the course of the year. I'll get back to that in another episode because there's so much more that could be said. And one more question for today. Kelly wrote, "So wonderful to learn more about you. I was wondering if you could give some information on becoming a Waldorf educator. I am a public, middle, and high school teacher who feels that so much is missing from the classroom. Thanks." I have to say, when I discovered Waldorf education, it was a real turning point in my life. I was visiting a kindergarten classroom, thinking about sending my son Harper to the Waldorf school, and I walked into an environment that just really spoke to my heart and some deep level. I just had never seen an environment like this, but I just knew this was a healthy environment. This was the right environment for children. And I ended up asking the teacher, I was presumably there for an interview for my son, but I asked the teacher, how do you become a Waldorf educator? I had also been thinking about going back to school. I'd been an actress, as some of you may know, before I became a teacher, before I became a mother. And I asked her about teacher training options. I was living in California at the time and thought maybe this is something I would do in the future, but she told me about a part-time training in the Los Angeles area at the Waldorf Institute of Southern California. They had a program that was met on weekends and 3 weeks each summer, and I ended up enrolling in teacher training before Harper ever got to kindergarten. And all I can tell you is a life-changing experience. The training is not just teacher training. It's not just about learning the educational philosophy. It's self-education and self-development. And through my training, we sang and we studied and we did wood carving and we learned eurythmy and we did handwork. The richest 2 years of my life, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. There are teacher training centers on the East Coast and the West Coast, and a few in the Midwest, in Wisconsin and Chicago. Below this video blog post on my blog, I will post a link to AWSNA's website. That's the Association of Waldorf Schools of North America. Their website is a treasure trove of information and lists the various teacher training centers you can get in touch with. Some are part-time programs and some are full-time. And there's training for early childhood, for grade school teaching, and also for high school teaching. And Finally, Lifeways is another training option that I cannot recommend highly enough. If you aren't necessarily interested in teaching a school, but if you're interested in learning more about the philosophy, if you're working with young children, if you're a parent at home, or if you're thinking, if you operate a home daycare center or offer child care in your home, or you're thinking about it, Lifeways is an incredible life-enriching program. I'll post a link about that too, and that's another subject we'll talk about more fully in a future Sunday with Sarah. I want to bring a friend of mine here who's a director of Lifeways training to tell you more about that. I could go on forever. Love answering your questions. I wish I had more time, but I'll get back to them. Please, as always, leave your comments here, suggestions for future weeks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for all your wonderful feedback. See you next week.